All right, we are live. Sorry everyone for the delay here. I usually like to start on the nose, but we had some technical difficulties, so we're showing up a little bit late. Let me share a link for everyone to get involved. I'm sure we had a lot of folks leave the waiting room. Arturo, how are you, man?
I'm good, Sumner. How are you?
Good. Let the people know where you calling in from. You're not the average land investor living here in North America.
No, I don't. I live in Rome. I have a day job, and it's 6 o'clock in the afternoon here. So I do it from the other side of the Atlantic Ocean.
That's right. You're living proof that you can run this business from absolutely anywhere.
Yeah.
We probably have close to a dozen international members in LIA. It's definitely the not the norm, right? But we've got folks in Poland and South America, Central America. So you really can do this business from anywhere. There's no law that says you can't buy land or real estate in the U.S. even if you're not a citizen. I think a lot of people get tripped up on that. You certainly can. So if you're watching this and you're living abroad, whether that's your nationality or you just want to be a nomad, understand that you can do this business from absolutely anywhere. The one challenging thing is we experience being inside LIA with you is the call times can be tough, right? There's a pretty big time difference. So before we dive into the nitty gritty, I want to kind of learn more about your business. We'll kind of go back and forth. You can ask me questions. I always like to ask, how the heck did you stumble into land? Because it's not the norm, right?
Yeah, well, I started with very little budget. At that time, actually, I was not living in Italy. We are talking about, it was April 2021. I was living in Turkey, and I had this 5,000. I didn't know how to invest. I had tried actually already tax liens, tax deeds with not big success. And then I stumbled upon a video from Seth Williams on YouTube, and he was talking about how to do this. It's easy. There is no tenants, no termites, no toilets. And I said, yeah, this is the right fit for someone who is not based in the US, because I don't have to go to talk with tenants. I don't have to go and, fix a roof or windows or whatever. So I tried. And it worked. So that's easy. So it was in April. I started. In May, I bought my first deal, which was a bulk purchase of 15 infill lots in Arizona. And after that, it was the proof of concept, and everything came after that.
So you started with $5,000. You said March of last year?
2021.
2021. Okay, 2021. You started with $5,000. The first deal was a portfolio of properties.
Mm-hmm.
What was the math on that deal? How much did you pay for it, and how much did you end up making?
Well, I paid a little north of 5,000 for all 15. It was in Pinal County. I don't know if you know the area, but LIA. Oh, yeah. And I sold everything to two people. Two persons. One of them is also quite a well-known investor. To very, under the price that I could have sold those. And sometimes now I still go and see how much are those worth today. And probably I should have kept them.
Yeah.
But it was good because I sold them around 12,000. So it was like 150% return on my investment. And at that time, it was all self-closed. So I did the self-closing. I didn't use a title company. I listed by myself on all the platforms. I did like other couple of deals like that. And then I said, no, this is not the way that I want to operate. And I started to do bigger deals and pass with title companies and attorneys and listing agents and so on.
Yeah. Okay, so start 2021, start with $5,000, turn it into 12 on your first deal, and it sounds like too you could have gotten substantially more if you sold those retail. Yeah. What do you think you could have got for that portfolio? Probably way more, I'd imagine.
Yes, probably I could have got double of what I did.
Yeah. Still, hey,
Yeah, it's okay. It was the first one. I just wanted to. I didn't even have an idea of how much I want to make out of this deal. I just wanted it to work and see that I could make more than I bought for. So
yeah,
it did.
I was the same way, man. I just wanted a proof of concept. And did you get that deal from direct mail? How were you getting a hold of sellers?
I did that deal from direct mail. At that time, that was the time where you could send like 1,500. I think that it was 1,500 mailers, and I got a couple of deals. That was the first one that I closed, and it was blind offers. And funny thing is that after that, I did for other 4 or 5 months blind offers, and then I transitioned to neutral letters. And now, since I joined the LIA, I'm giving a shot to blind offers again. I want to
come full circle.
Yeah.
So you started the game, $5,000, start doing the small deal stuff. So exactly how I started. You quickly realize it's not worth your time necessarily, because the truth is, not only do you live in a different country, you do this part-time, right?
Yes, I am a Navy officer.
You're a Navy officer, so this is very, very part-time. How much time do you think you put to this business per week?
So now it's 6 o'clock. I just came home, and after the call, I will work until midnight, 1 o'clock.
Okay. So you put a good amount of time into it.
Yeah. It's sometimes it's overwhelming. I just do what I have to do. I mean, there is no other way.
Is it a labor of love, or is it purely just dollars and cents, just trying to make more money? What's the motivation?
I mean, for me, I just love the game. I sometimes I talk with, and this is a conversation that I had with someone a couple of days ago, and she's also actually, she's American, and she lives in Rome, and she is doing great. But she is originally from Savannah, and she asked me, "What is your goal? You know, what is your motivation? What is that? Where do you want to go?" And I said, "Actually, I don't know. I know what is the finish line. In 1 year, I want to get this amount of money, because that is the goal for me. It's an amount of money. But once that I get that, I'm sure that I will want more than that. I just love the game, and I would do it probably even if it was not profitable. I just love it."
Yeah. So it's a labor of love. And I definitely resonate with the fact that, like, every goal we achieve, somehow we push the goalpost further and further and further. It's kind of this never-ending game. But I always tell people, it's like, it's not a matter if you can be successful in this business. That's not the question. The question is, do you like it to stick around long enough? Because if you stick around long enough and you unearth the right playbook, you will be successful. But do you enjoy it? And if you don't enjoy it, there's other ways to make money. But I think all the folks that I know that are successful, they've got that bug. It's just in their DNA, man. They like the thrill, the chase, the hunt of the deal, just everything about it. And so if you've got that, it's, it's a dangerous combination. Okay, so small deal, 2021. You said, screw it, I'm part-time, I'm gonna go after bigger deals. What was that transition like? And now you're doing bigger deals, much bigger deals.
I do much bigger deals. I just started almost 1 year ago to look at entitlements. I found this wonderful guy that we talked about.
It's awesome.
It's David Hansen. He is helping me a lot. Now we are closing. We're closing. I think that by May we might have closed on a big deal in Alabama, and that will be the biggest deal so far. Six figures deal.
Can you? We're all numbers people, and so it's tantalizing to hear the numbers. Do you mind sharing the numbers behind that?
No problem. So we got this deal under contract in February 2023 for $945,000, and then we agreed with the seller. It's a 63 acres in Alabama. Town of Alberta, not far from the water, so it's a very nice property. And then we agreed with the seller to pay an EMD of $1,400 every month. So we structured it by paying it for 1 year, with the possibility to extend until every 3 months. So now we are extending until May. We will pay $50,000. And then if we will need to extend, we will pay other $50,000. That will be credited at the moment that we will close on the property, though. So we we are not losing them unless we don't close. In that case, they would keep those 50,000. And at the moment we have 2 offers. We are entitling the property and doing a little that work that David loves so much is bread and butter. So subdividing and creating. We had 2 projects actually, one for 150 per villa, one for 90 single family, and there are 2 builders that are interested. And at the end, we will go with one of the 2, and we should close in May for $1,750,000.
Wow, wow, it's a big deal, man. So 1.7 million buying at 900K.
Yes, 900K plus the EMD. So that is the.
Dude, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So, but other than.
No, go ahead. You're good.
Other than that, the other deals, my biggest one, other than that, was 60,000 net profit. So, and that is pretty standard, between 20 and 60,000 the deal that I make.
Okay.
So I never went at more than 60.
So how many deals are you doing a month? Is it a pretty low volume business, or are you cranking through deals?
Well, it goes, it's difficult I don't have an average. I went through some up and downs. Sometimes I buy, in this moment, I have 11 properties for sale, but they are moving quite slowly. So I would like them to move faster. But let's say that until the last year, until 2023, I was sending out between 3,000 and 6,000 mailers per month. I also experimented for a short time texting, but it doesn't really resonate with me. It was a lot of work. And so I decided to focus on one thing. And I decided to go back to mailers exclusively for the moment. Now, starting from January, I'm sending out 11,000 mailers for the first 4 months, so until March, and then I will increase. I plan to close the year at 20,000 mailers. When I was sending out between 2,000 and 6,000, I was closing 1 deal per month. Now that I double, I plan to double the number of deals in the first 4 months, and then one every 4,000 is my average, more or less.
Okay. So that one for 4,000 too, that was based off of neutral letters, right? Previously.
Yeah, that is the thing. Yes.
So you should see those stats improve, even though there is more work on the blind offer side. What we see inside LIA, if you're averaging 4,000 letters per deal, you're probably making 30 to 50 grand gross profit on average. If you're more like my business, where we make 15 to 20K on average, you should be about 2,000, maybe 1,800 to 2,500 letters per deal. So you should see that increase actually. But obviously it's a fine line of how much time has to go into the pricing to make it worthwhile, right? But once you start pricing out these markets, it's just a Rolodex that you can kind of churn through over and over and over again. So you're doing 11,000 mailers a month, should be about 2 deals a month. I think I would actually probably see that improve. I'd reckon you're probably gonna get closer to 3 with that current mail volume. But I can't imagine you're doing all of this by yourself. So what's behind the scenes like? Do you have a team?
Yeah, I have a team, especially if you do it from abroad. You need an additional figure that is like your man in the place. If you need to go and take a cashier check, or you need to go and talk with the post office because you need to send that one letter to someone, or whatever, you need someone. So at the moment, my team in this moment is composed by myself and one VA in the Philippines, Nikki. She is amazing. I got her through a service. It's called We Find Talent. You can find it online, and I'm very happy with them. I am planning to, and we discussed this, me and you, I'm planning also to hire an acquisition manager, or move Nikki to become an acquisition manager. I don't know yet, but to have one additional person. Once that I will have more leads, probably I will have a second VA, because now Nikki, she is like the intake manager. So she's the entry point of everything that comes. So she pre-qualified the property. She goes on land ID, checks flood zone, wetlands, topography, access. then run the standard questions, that you make to the seller, and then she passed the deal to me, and then I do the comps and I make the offer, which is something that I don't love. And I would like to have, especially when the volume will hopefully likely increase, I would like to have another VA and an acquisition manager to replace me in this job, so that I can make one step back and focus on more strategic things that can help my business to grow.
Yeah, you're right at that threshold. We usually say about 10,000 mailers a month is a pretty good kind of guesstimation of when you're ready to bring on an acquisition manager. That or about 50 leads a month, either or, whichever comes first. Right. So you're right there with 11,000 mailers. And that, I mean, frankly, that's the hire that will blow up your business, because now you can go and buy back, 30, 40 hours a month, go put that to mailing more. And then they're going to just frankly, even if they're not as good as you on the phone, which you can find people that are as good as you, but most times they're going to be just a knock below the CEO in terms of their skill set negotiating and really pushing the lead. But just what the improvements that you'll get from the increase in frequency of touches is unbelievable. I shared this inside Discord yesterday. We just got a contract signed last night, and this is how a lot of our deals look. This was a lead that we got in April of 2023. So 10 months ago? Mm-hmm. There was probably, definitely well over 200 texts and emails sent from then to now. And I would say probably over 100 phone calls from then to now, right? Wow. You can't do that. I can't do that. You need someone full-time in that seat. And even if they're not as good at sales as you, that's the stuff that moves the needle. And we probably sent 10 different contracts over that time. Finally got them across the finish line. So it's going to blow up your business, frankly. And that's what's cool about this business. It's pretty cookie cutter. There's just a playbook that works, and you just got to implement the dang thing, and really good things will happen. I know everyone here, especially new land investors, they're always very discombobulated about market selection and the best way to do it. Do you have any tips for them? How are you selecting your markets? What kind of land are you buying? Is it rural rec or is it infill? What's the play there?
Okay, so I don't do infill because I want to have as many exit strategies as I can. Infill is equal to residential for me, so you can build it. If you cannot build it, you cannot do anything with that. Now, the thing that I don't really love about rural recreational is that they take a little more to sell generally than the infill lots, especially if it is some hot area. But it's something that I can live with as long as I can have a profit. So I do rural recreational, let's say 3, 4, I would say 4+. Lately in January, I send mailers every week. So I send about 2,500, 3,000 every week. And I focused on the 4 to 40 acres. So try to see because I believe that more than that acreage, I don't know if I should do a neutral or a blind. I want to just be focused on that acreage and make sure that my offer is as more accurate as possible. And I just do recreational because I like that type of land. Essentially, also it's something that I really like, and probably you shouldn't invest in what you like. You should invest in what the other people like, but I just like it. So,
well, there's something to be said about what you're passionate about, man. Because the truth is, both business models work. You're going to spend a lot of time looking at those kinds of properties and running the due diligence. Due diligence on an infill lot is different than a rural recreational. So I think it's wise to choose what you like. That's really how I stumbled into rural recreational. Yeah. I think there's a better case for rural recreational, even though in some cases it can take a little longer to sell. I think it's more of a sturdy, safe asset. Because if new construction shits the bed and people aren't building, well, that infill lot might not be as valuable. With rural recreational, there's a lot of different use cases, a lot of things you can do with it. Here's one thing that I want to give you as a pro tip, and I think everyone here, I see this as a really common trip up for folks, is they're playing the rural recreational game, let's say, right? And they put a real hard ceiling on what size they market to. So I would typically tell folks, go 4 acres to 500 acres or 1,000 acres or infinity acres, just as much as you can really go to. The correlation between response rates and inaccuracy with pricing or having a blind offer be weird for a seller is more of a price related thing than a size thing. And we usually see, you can get away with blind offers up to 300, 400, 500K. So you've got a lot of wiggle room before I think it starts to make more sense to use a neutral letter. But the thing that I realized when I first started is I wasn't marketing to those deals, and I never got home run grand slam deals. And I wondered, why do other people get those and I don't? I just wasn't exposing myself to the opportunity to even get them. And the yield and the response rate, everything's gonna be so much lower there. But dude, once, twice, 3 times a year, you'll go get that 200-acre, 100-acre, 300-acre deal. And with those deals, we usually have multiple exits, right? We could do a rural subdivision. So I would recommend everyone here, for playing the rural recreation game, don't put too much of a ceiling on it. You can put a ceiling on price if you want for your offer time, but I would open that up. I also think that a lot of folks do exactly what you mentioned there, where they just do the 4s to 40s or 5s to 40s. And so that upper band is not getting touched by other land investors. So there's actually less marketing going to them because most people limit the marketing to them. So I think there's an opportunity there. Cool, man. Let's flip the script. And actually, before we flip the script, there's one thing one question I want to ask. So I'm going to Bali for the month of March, right? And always the hardest thing about traveling international is the notary situation. So we have a registered agent here in the US who will do our notaries, but I'm curious, you living in Italy, how does the notaries work? Do you have to go to a US embassy or is it online? How does that work?
No. I know people that goes to the embassy, and I made it easier. I have, as I said to you before, I have one person in the US who is Tony, who is also the person that helped me to start my LLC. And he lives in Florida. He's married to a US girl. And he is a notary, and his wife is a notary. And by my operating agreement, he's allowed to sign on behalf of the company. So he signed whatever contract I want him to sign, and his wife notarized.
Smart. Okay, smart. Yeah. So for folks here, and I missed that part. I didn't realize you had a US person. For those that are trying to do this internationally or travel internationally, that's the one roadblock you'll run into is the notary situation. A lot of states still don't allow electronic notary, so that's still kind of on the fringe. Like California just made it legal, but still a lot of states are behind the times. So that only works in some places. Now you could just work in those markets exclusively if you wanted to. Alternatively, you can go to like a U.S. embassy and get your documents notarized if you're international. That's really cumbersome though, and not a surefire thing. Especially if you need to get it done quickly, it can take a while. Alternatively, though, creating like a registered agent or giving someone power of attorney here in the U.S. is probably the easiest path forward.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking about taking this business on the road, that's definitely something to think about. Arturo, let's flip the script, man. Let's give you the mic, and we can just riff on questions that you have or anything that we can help with to kind of unpack your business and get you straightened out for 2024.
Yeah, I just wanted to see what you think. I don't know if I can share my screen. Probably.
Yeah, you should be able to. If you go down to the bottom and you see the present button.
Yes, I see it. I saw before I do it, I saw this in a video, very, very nice video from Dennis. It was late December, early January. He went through, his goals for 2024, and I recreated this spreadsheet that he showed on YouTube. And I wanted to know if it makes sense to you, for you to have a look just to see if something is off or something is missing. So I should do share screen, I guess. Share screen. Okay. Entire screen. Share. Okay, got it. I don't know if you see it.
Yeah, I'm going to add that here. Okay, there we go.
Okay, so I believe a lot on data. So I try to make my choices on, data-driven choices always, which sometimes is not the best because I tend to overthink things. But I try to go fast in this. This is what I plan to do for 2024. And so as I was mentioning, these are the months I was mentioning, I will start to send out. I'm sending tomorrow, not today. I have the last batch of this month, and that will be the first 11,000. And I plan to send out 11,000 until April. And I expect, let's say 2 months to let the mailer season in. And then I expect the first leads to come from this mailer. Actually, already some leads came. So this month I have from the first 9,000 mailers that I sent, I have 4 deals in my pipeline. But let's say that I wait 2 months for them to be fully seasoned. And the percent that I'm considering is 0.4% of this 11,000 becomes in March will be leads, which the lead for me is a prospect who may or may not have signed the PA, but would entertain an offer. So it's an interested person.
Okay.
And 25% of these becomes leads suitable for closing, which means that has passed what I call the first layer due diligence. So fluid zone, wetlands, access, topography, and the preliminary checks of the questions that you asked the seller normally. So 25% of these 44 become past this stage, and then of these 11, 3, which is the 30%, become acquisitions. So they go also through, the due diligence process, the rest of the due diligence, the county, the title, and you buy the property. And then 90% of what I buy, I can sell because some buyer could ghost me or whatever. So this is what I'm considering. I plan to, if these will be more or less the numbers in March and April, then in May, I would like to increase at 17,000. And if this will be the month until August, between May and August, then I would like to increase at 20,000, which means in 1 year I should sell out almost 200,000. Now I am considering at least 20,000 gross profit per deal, which means that the gross profit, having this number of mailers out, should be $800,000. I don't know if because I am pretty new to blind, so I don't really have KPIs for blind offers, and I don't know if are they accurate, aren't they? Would you probably keep 11,000 more, or just let's see how it goes? I don't know exactly how to deal with blind offers. It's something that I'm learning. And here in red, I have the ROAs, and here I have all my costs. As you see, I plan to have, once that I will start to have a little more deal, and I plan to have an acquisition manager. These are all the costs, and at the end here, this is the cost per letter. The net profit should be this one, which means 72% of the gross profit. I heard you saying that it's what came out. This is the formula, so the ratio between the net profit and the gross profit. So after the cost, and it's in line with what you said. I heard you saying 70% more or less. And here I have the taxes. Is an estimate, because I don't know exactly the deductions and all this kind of stuff. And so I plan that if I send out 200,000 mailers, I should get after taxes 430,000. I don't know if these are numbers that are you consider accurate, or is it something that you see completely off here or missing?
Yeah, great questions, man. I appreciate you putting this together. For everyone that's watching at home, this is a really cool exercise to go through. Frankly, I didn't even see Dennis put this together, so this is really cool. Before I dive into my feedback, just a couple of questions. So the cost per letter, I see it's 68 cents all the way up to 92 cents. So what is the cost per letter?
So the cost per letter is marketing.
Yeah.
So everything, actually. Marketing plus the cost of the drone, for example. So is everything. The intake manager. No, not the intake manager, the acquisition manager. I don't use them, but I use also them. K2, the intake manager, the acquisition manager, the operational cost, which is the cost of all my subscription. I keep everything tracked, so
nice,
I know exactly the thing that I spend. And miscellaneous, which means I need to use the postal service, I need to pay the notary, and this is like forfeit. And so this is the total cost divided by the number of letters, gives me the cost per letter. It's not just marketing. This is why it's so big.
Okay,
actually.
cool. How much are you paying per letter right now, just out of curiosity?
Per letter right now, in January, 58 cents.
Okay. So yeah, a couple things.
This is including also the
data,
the production.
Okay.
So this is including also production. Yeah.
So we could get that lower. We could get you down to 52 cents on the letters. What are you using for data right now? Do you use Land Vision or use Data Tree?
Land Vision.
Okay, cool. So we got essentially almost no data cost there. I mean, there's a cost to Land Vision, but you could scale infinitely and it's going to cost the same. So I think we can get that. I think we can get the letters down. Before I go into the math, I'm just going to touch on a couple of things here. So I think we get the cost per letter down. When we're talking about a 6-cent savings over 200,000 letters, that adds up. That's a big deal, right? We're talking about 12 grand of savings there, if my math's correct. The other thing too is we're looking at the drone photos. So we've got almost $14,000 of drone photo spends. Really, we should be able to cut that by like 90-95%. And the way we do that is we try to force the realtor to cover that cost or do it themselves. In fact, it's one of our kind of pre-qualifications is if you're a good land realtor, you have access to a drone or you own one or you know someone that does, right? So we really push them to cover that cost. Again, about 10% of the time, we're not able to pull that off, but you should be able to whack off 10 grand at least right there. Like it goes right back into your pocket.
Yeah.
Just perusing here. So the acquisition manager, this is their base salary right here. Is that right?
Yes. It's okay. So my intake manager is what I'm paying it now. And it's a full-time one. So 6 hours per 4 weeks, per 40 hours a week. And the acquisition manager, I am considering $25 actually, but part-time, so 20 hours, because I don't think that I need an acquisition manager. I think that she can work probably Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, let's say.
So I'm going to encourage you to not do the part-time game. The part-time, especially for a role as important as an acquisition manager, it never really pans out in the long run. We need someone that's there all day long. And frankly, we can have the same exact cost, but have them full-time, which even if they're not maxed out right now, you'll always have them on demand. So there's no delay for getting to leads. And as your marketing scales, you'll be ready to take it on. So I would expect to pay $10 to $12 an hour for a full-time acquisition manager. So $1,600 a month to $1,920 a month is going to be pretty standard for overseas. So in some cases, you could even save money, but have them full-time. You know what I mean? You definitely want that because speed to lead is like the lifeblood of acquisitions. And so if they're out that day and we've got 10 leads that stack up, that's going to really shoot ourselves in the foot because our pickup rate goes down a lot. And dude, honestly, once you get to like month 4 or 5, there'll be enough meat on the bone to keep them busy for sure. You'll have enough.
This was my concern. Yeah, I understand. Okay.
Yeah.
This was my concern.
Arturo, how many leads do you have just in your CRM right now, just in total?
In this moment, I have 40 leads.
40 leads. Okay. There's probably at least 2 deals sitting in that CRM.
I mean, this 40, consider that probably 15 of them are cold leads. So I will call them,
Okay. Yeah, there's still, I mean, even if they came in today, we could still have them go work the snot out of those leads and probably convert something. So yeah, I would encourage you full-time on any of like the key central roles, an acquisition manager, a generalist VA, we all want them full-time. Now, stuff where it's like data scrubbing or some of the stuff that's more task-based, it can be part-time. Okay, so the next thing, let's go over to the letters per month. So right now, are you scrubbing your data?
Yeah.
Like landlocked, flood zone, things like that?
Not landlocked, no flood zone. I'm not scrubbing in that sense, but I don't know. You are you transitioning to Land Vision, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so already probably that Land Vision requires some work to make it ready for Rocket Printer Mail. Everything comes out in uppercase letters. You have to remove the duplicates. So there are little things, but quite a few that you have to put in place. So I don't really scrub. And plus, there is also priced that allows you at some degree to scrub for duplicates and non-US addresses and other things for free. Once that you have priced the subscription, you put inside there and it does a job. But it takes me, sometimes I don't scrub for landlocked, I don't scrub for flood zones, I don't scrub for wetlands. And actually, the last mailers that I sent was a couple of counties in South Carolina that were, they had quite some flood zone and wetlands. So I am on the fence. I have some properties that is like half in wetlands. I don't know if I need to buy it or not. Probably will be double closing. I'm not sure. But probably I should scrub those as well.
Yeah. So there's two kinds of scrubbing, right? There's like the scrubbing of like the data material things, duplicates and foreign addresses, that kind of scrubbing. And there's like what we call property scrubbing, which is I would do landlocked, odd shape, and flood zone. Now you don't have to do all flood zone, but within some kind of degree of like, hey, it was 50% in a flood zone, go and scrub that. So you hire a VA to do that. It's very much a part-time role. It's $45 an hour. It takes them 3 hours per 1,000 records. So you're talking about 12 to 15 bucks per 1,000 records. So this is what it typically looks like. You usually are going to shave off 20% of the records. So you're left with 80% that are suitable for marketing. So if you're using data tree or whatever, you save the data cost, which is cool. But the real thing is we save the marketing cost and we save the time of our team working leads that aren't qualified in terms of the actual property. So now if we look at your marketing and you're doing 200,000 letters, we just saved 40,000 junk letters that we're going to go to properties that you'd never even want to buy. And so what that allows us to do is we can be more focused in our efforts and talk to the right people, yada, yada, yada. But that lead suitable for closing number is going to go up. So you might get 45 leads, but 20 or 25 of them are actually suitable for closing in terms of the property. So Vittorio, when we look at that column D, the lead suitable for closing, what usually makes a lead not suitable? Is it property more times than not, or is it motivation more times than not?
No, it is never the motivation. If it is a lead by lead, is a person that calls me and say, okay, let's talk it. I may consider your offer. So that is a lead for me. Okay. And then I check topography, I check wetland, I check Niki, check wetlands, topography, access, the shape and all this kind of stuff. Call the guy and ask the question, utilities, and how long have you owned the property, and blah, blah, blah. And then once that it passed this stage, that is a lead suitable for closing. What is the difference between leads suitable for closing and acquisitions is the title search and me calling the county or let's say the rest of the due diligence, the zoning, and other problems that make title, if it is broken or anything, probates to be done or whatever. So that is the definition of lead suitable for closing for me.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I think what usually makes a lead not suitable is something materially wrong with the property or something wrong with the title. So that kills more deals than anything else, less so the motivation. So boom, we can get a much higher number of leads that are suitable for closing and not waste money on marketing to people that we don't even want to buy their property. So I would make that effective immediately. I would get that installed in your business. You'll have to handhold and train the VA. You just tell them I would just create like a little one pager that says, these are the landlocked types of property we remove. Here's the weird shaped kinds we remove. Give them like a visual playbook so they can just go through and uncheck them.
Yeah, nice. Do you hire this VA? Is not part of your team. It's just a part-time.
Yeah, this is one of the roles that makes sense as a part-time team member, right? Because there's just typically it's not enough work to go around full-time. So it's just kind of on an as-needed basis. So we'll have them inside of our Slack. We'll upload a new data set and say, hey, we need this done in the next 48 hours, and then they'll go chew through it, get it done.
In 48 hours, how many records can they scrub?
Depends on how. If they work the full 48 hours, man, they could probably scrub. 10 to 15,000 records, something like that. A lot. That's if they work nonstop, but usually budget about 3 hours per 1,000 records for most people. It'll change a little bit, but 3 hours per 1,000 records is a safe bet.
And do you send mailers on every 15 days, every week, or how?
We try to keep a very even rhythm weekly. We don't always hit it. but usually at the latest, it's going to be bi-weekly. So I don't want these big peaks and troughs in our lead flow.
Exactly.
Try to keep it pretty steady.
Yeah.
So yeah, that alone is that's a huge difference in terms of talking to the right people, saving marketing costs, working the right leads. Like that alone is going to change these stats. So let's go and look at the stats. I think that the lead number is pretty accurate, right? I think that's pretty much on the nose. Now, if we are scrubbing the data, there's probably a good chance that number of leads suitable for closing might be like 15 to 25 leads out of the 44 that are suitable for closing. So that really bumps our number up substantially for scrubbing the data, which as a result, hey, maybe we get 4 leads or 4 acquisitions a month opposed to 3 from that 11,000 mailers. Like it will change the numbers. Maybe not immediately, but it'll stack up and over time talking to the right people. Because what happens is I always tell my acquisition team, it's like the way you make the big bucks is by going and looking at our CRM and looking at 1,000 leads and saying, hey, this is where I should be spending my time, right? It's like that discernment of knowing where you should be following up and working the leads. And that becomes much easier when you have just really good leads in your CRM, high quality properties, high quality leads. It's just a lot easier for them to be more focused. So I'd rather see a CRM that has less leads but higher quality than a huge quantity because they just get overwhelmed.
Yeah, it's. Have you seen? I mean, look, if I do what you said, and let's say that this 25 becomes 35%.
Yep.
Of the leads become leads suitable for closing. So look at this 800,000. How much it becomes? Look.
Boom. See? Crazy, man.
That's
and
pretty...
all that took is someone scrubbing your data. We didn't spend any more on marketing. So that's all straight to the bottom line other than the cost of the scrubber. So huge difference, right?
Yeah.
And again, you're going to see, and it's hard for me to track like the perfect long tail on this, but you're going to see higher effectiveness from your acquisition team because they're just focusing on the right people. So there's an added benefit to that, right? An acquisition team can only talk to so many people every day before they start being diminishing returns in their performance. So higher quality prospects, higher quality properties, they're going to do better. I would say like if you're really crushing it, you're on fire, you've got a great acquisition process, you could easily expect 4 to 5 contracts per 11,000 letters. You're probably going to be closer to 15K gross profit per deal, but it'll still net out.
If it is 15K, then this would become 839,000.
So, dude, here's the thing, though. Again, we're talking about averages, of course, so averages can be misleading. And I definitely like having some kind of floor for what we're willing to take. But the truth is, once you have the machinery built in your business, the additional cost of taking a lead that can make you 15 grand and pushing it through the system is minimal. So you're going to get deals that might not be at that 20K spread. Of course, you're going to get some that are over. But I wouldn't be scared to take on deals that are going to make you 10, 12, 15K. You know what I mean? I see a lot of folks that are so focused on this is my floor, I won't go beneath it, that you're just missing money that's sitting there for the taking because you've already got the team in place to run it through. Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I am a big believer in using other people's money, right? Yeah. Can be, I have some properties I joint venture. I have other properties that I use hard money lenders. But what is your, do you believe in, if you have the cash to buy and to keep all the profit for yourself, do you think you should do it? Or do you think what would you do? Would you prefer to, split the profit with someone and invest everything in marketing? How would you?
It's a great question. I think it depends on how much money we're talking about and the aspirations of the land investor. So what I mean by that is if you're saying, Sumner, I'm planning on 10xing my marketing this year and I want to scale this thing to the moon. I'm going to be doing 100,000 letters by the end of the year. Well, all your capital is going to be flowing to building the team and marketing and the operational costs. That probably wouldn't make sense. Now, I know land investors that say, Sumner, I'm going to do 12 to 15 deals a year. Each deal will make me 50K. I'm not trying to grow. I just want to maintain homeostasis. And they've got, $1 million or $2 million in the bank. So yeah, sure. Put that money to use because saving that 20 or 30% on the JV split really adds up. But I just find that most people, if you're trying to scale aggressively, it's too hard to fund the rising cost of acquisitions and the rising cost of the operations in the market.
Yeah.
It depends on the aspirations, man. And it also depends on how much money we're talking about. I like using other people's money personally, but I've always been more of the belief of like trying to really grow the thing. And so that takes money going towards a business beyond acquisitions. So yeah, there's an argument for both sides. And of course, it depends on how much money we're talking. The way I like to look at it is I would rather have this be a cash flow vehicle that spits out cash flow, and I use other people's money to fund the business. Take that money and go put it into like long-term wealth generating assets like rental properties or self-storage or whatever. And that way we're kind of divested. Not all of our money is going straight back into this land business, right? I want a little bit of diversity, and I want to build that wealth, not just focus on plowing it into more and more cash flow.
Yeah. Great.
So yeah, dude, it also just depends on what other opportunity vehicles you have at your fingertips. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, dude, given the stats here and given that your track record in this business, you're definitely at the point where you can start sourcing cheaper capital, right? So, you know, if you're doing joint venture with like private lenders, you could be doing 90-10 splits, 85-15, somewhere around there. And then you could even venture into hard money and debt and be paying 10 to 15% per deal. Or annually. So it actually could be substantially less because you might sell it in 3 months, right? So that would be my recommendation to you. There's a lot of cheap money out there, and there's definitely, you know, more money than opportunity. So you've got all the leverage in that situation. Okay, let's go back.
There is also actually, and this is a conversation that I had a couple of days ago, there is also some big Italian investors who would like to invest in this land flipping thing. So I'm trying to work with them and to make them understand that this is a very profitable business, because it is. And there are opportunities, you know, when there is some investors that want to diversify his investment and is in Italy, and real estate market in Italy is not an easy market at all. Not very profitable, at least not as in the US. And so there are a bunch of people in Italy that are looking like positively to the land flipping world now.
Yeah, dude. I mean, my recommendation is get in front of the right people, build out a spreadsheet like this, but have it with your real data, and it just becomes glaringly obvious that this is a great investment. Also, it's like, dude, this is what I call an asymmetric bet. Where like it's almost impossible to really lose in this business, right? We're buying with such a margin of safety, and we have a valuable asset, and the returns are huge, but we also have a really capped downside. Now that changes with value add. I think there is a lot of risk, a lot more risk with value add. But if you're buying a desirable asset, land in Texas, let's say, 40, 50, 60 cents on the dollar, you just can't lose on that. You know, the markets don't change that quick to where you're going to wake up tomorrow and be worth nothing. So yeah, dude, I would say a spreadsheet like this, baked in with real math from your internal business, and then some kind of acquisition disposition sheet that shows all the deals, is people are going to be salivating at the opportunity, right?
Yeah, I have. I mean, I used, you know, the thing from the course essentially that you put out.
Exactly.
So it's very nice. And I want to just, I mean, for everyone who is listening and who's not part of the LIA, truly, I mean, I attended more than one educational program. And besides the educational program per se, which is awesome, is just the people that is in the Discord is amazing. I mean, the group is wonderful. So big shout out, round of applause to everyone who is in LIA, because I love you guys.
Thank you, man. No, the feelings are mutual. I feel lucky every day. I don't know how it turned out like this, but the community is just amazing, man. It's so cool. Totally. One thing I want to talk about here. So when we're looking at the gross profit, we're looking at the net here. Are you deducting cost of capital here?
I have. I'm considering here where I have the basic deduction. Essentially, if you see here, are the total costs that are these costs here. I am not. This is like conservative assumption, because, for example, in May, I will be to the US, so I will deduct other costs that are not here, of course. So I can buy a computer or anything that I can use for my business, I'm going to deduct. But this is not here. So likely the cost that I will save on taxes would be more than just this.
Yeah. And that's the beautiful thing about being a business owner. I mean, you can flow so many of your life expenses through the business. But what about funding, like cost of capital for joint venture or debt? Do you have that baked into the math here?
No. No,
Okay.
I didn't. No,
So
no.
that would be something to think about. Dude, and honestly, I mean, if you're not going to self-fund your deals and you want to use other people's money, my biggest takeaway from looking at the spreadsheet is once we're 4 months in and you have that acquisition team, why not grow the mail more, right? Like, let's say we're 4 months in and we see the math is working. Why stair step our way to 17,000 and then 19,000? Why not just go 19, 25, 30, 40, like just boom, 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 boom. Because once you have the team in place, I mean, there's only so much they can handle, but they can handle a lot more than 17,000, 20,000 letters a month. So what are your thoughts for that?
Yeah, I think that would be cool. Would you do still blind offers more than, I mean, there is a threshold that you set in number of mailers that you say more than this, it would make more sense to do a range or a neutral or not. Do blind offers.
So there is a point, and I mean, there's a couple of variables. So there, if you are aggressively scaling your marketing and you haven't done a lot of blind offers, it's really hard. So if you want to go do 30,000 blind offers tomorrow, it's going to be a ton of work to build out all the pricing. But dude, once you do it once, it exists forever. And so then you start building up this database of price markets and you just fly through them. It becomes really easy. So guys that are like, big time inside LIA, they pretty much just market to the same places on a loop. You know what I mean? But if you're trying to scale aggressively, it can be hard to do. So if, like, let's say tomorrow you want to do 30,000 mailers a month, you're probably gonna have to mix in some range offers unless you want to work 100 hours a week to price it all out. But once it's priceable, you're fine to move forward. I'm not a big fan of neutral letters, to be honest. Every stat I've ever seen with my business and people that were outside of LIA that joined LIA and I see their KPIs, every stat pegs neutral letters as being less productive than blind offers or range offers. Every stat I've seen. Now, here's the caveat. I do think if you are thinking about neutral letters, go with a postcard. I think postcards beat neutral letters, right? Because you have 100% visibility and it has the same effect. So I do like postcards. We're experimenting with 4 different postcard campaigns. The stats are pretty good, but neutral letters in an envelope, I just think are bogus. They're not good.
Okay. And that's the reason why I moved to blind. I mean, what you were kind of not promoting, but you were when you talk about blind offers, and I said, yeah, this makes sense. And so I'm trying now. And I mean, so far for the letters that went out, so far I had these 3 batches here. I got like three new, so for 8,000 more or less, I got like 3 deals in my pipeline that are title now. Yeah, so it's okay. So it looks like it worked, at least in the market where I sent this mailers, but we will see how it goes from there.
So an interesting stat to throw on there, and again, like the thing with blind offers that trips people up is there is a good bit of variability there in terms of how we price it and how that can affect our results. And of course, for any offer type, there's variability with your acquisition process or skill set. I don't know if you watched the video of Rylan from our event in Las Vegas earlier last year. I think his stat was 20,000 letters a month to make about 90 grand in gross profit a month. I think those were 89,000 or 90,000, something along those lines. And he's great at pricing. He does a really good job, but that's kind of a good benchmark of, I think, like what's on the higher end of what's achievable with 20,000 mailers a month. I think 80 to 100 grand a month, which would peg us a little bit higher than some of these numbers potentially. So yeah, man, let's go. Any other questions on acquisition side, hiring stuff that goes beyond just the tracker?
Yes. What do you think about acquisition manager being US based, as he is the one that needs to make the offer? I know what can be like I don't want to say the struggle, but being Italian, you have an accent, and I don't think that I am the best salesperson. I'm improving. I'm reading a lot. I'm a big fan of reading books, and so all the books about business, sales, and whatever, I read them. But I was considering, should I take, when it will be the time, should I take an acquisition manager in the Philippines? Should I take an acquisition manager in the US? What do you think?
Yeah, good question, man. Before I answer, have you read the book Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss?
Chris Voss, sure I did.
Great book. Nice. For everyone that's listening, that's one of the best sales books you'll ever read. The negotiation tactics apply so well with sellers. My favorite thing, I forget how Chris talks about it, but it's like asking stupid questions. So when a seller says, hey, I want 150 grand, the property's worth 100, we just say, how am I supposed to do that? And
yeah. How can I do that? Yeah.
Yeah, and make them justify. And I just love that strategy. It's so good.
Yeah,
Okay. So we found like an interesting kind of split test, obviously, in our business, having both overseas and the US. And I've hired more overseas than the US, but I have seen there's an appreciable difference for sure. I think just even beyond skill set, the churn on overseas employees is higher. So expect that you're going to lose people every year, 2, 3 years. Over in the US, you can get folks that are going to be with you a little bit longer, which I'm a big fan of that. I like planting long-term seeds and working with people for a long time. So as we start getting up into the higher price point properties, yeah, it does start to matter. I have noticed a pretty big difference with just the trust that can be built. And unfortunately, a lot of the folks that we work with are old. And unfortunately, older people come from a different generation, and a lot of them are racist. That's just the honest truth. There's a real profiling that they do if you have an accent, and they think telemarketer, scammer, like just all these things that may or may not be true. And so that you definitely have to combat that. Most people we work with are 55 plus, right? So that's just a real thing. Now there's folks that work overseas that don't have a thick accent. So like the accent's not the deal breaker necessarily. There's just like a level of like mannerism and familiarity with, like, every country has their own mannerisms, right? So in Italy, I'm sure you guys do things slightly different than how we do them here in the US, just for general day-to-day things.
Oh, yes.
Maybe,
yes.
yeah, maybe how you talk to people on the street is different than what we do here, whatever it may be. And so that intimate understanding definitely shows up in the conversations as well. Their ability to make small talk is different too, because there's more relevance. Like they're living a very similar existence. Or when we have a VA in the Philippines who has a typhoon hitting their house, and there's a hurricane coming through, you got different life than some guy living in Dallas, Texas, right? So there's just a little bit different context. So one of the things that we've helped other LIA members with, actually, Justin just did this. Justin is kind of our gatekeeper for LIA. He's the one that says yes or no to everyone that
I talked to him.
Yeah, you know Justin.
Yeah.
So Justin just did this. We had a few folks inside LIA that have done it as well. I've done it, is hiring interns. That's a really cool model.
Nice.
And so you're still going to pay them on the gross profit of the deal, but you can avoid a base salary. They could eventually move to a full-time role if they want. But what I found is there's a lot of people that want to get into this business. They're fascinated by it. You talk to them, their eyes light up. Or maybe they tried doing it themselves, but they realize they're not a business owner, but they know land. You can plug those people and say, look, I've got everything figured out. I will guarantee you 50 leads a month and whatever, 3 to 4 deals a month. All you got to do is make calls, and I'll teach you along the way. You've got to fine line. Like sometimes free labor is expensive because you got to put so much work to get them trained up. So like there is a fine line, but we found amazing people that way. And then they can move to a full-time role. Now, full-time for a U.S. acquisition manager, probably a base salary of $25,000 to $30,000 a year, and then 5 to 10% of gross profit on the deals. And it just depends on how big of a pipeline you can supply them. They should make 60 to 120 grand a year, I'd say, if they're really killing it.
Cool.
So yeah, dude, there is an appreciable difference. I just think that, like, even though I think it's optimal, there's a time and a place for everything. And so if you're scaling up, using the overseas acquisition manager as a stepping stone probably makes the most sense. But I think the goal is to go US eventually. So there is a difference.
Okay, cool.
It also depends on your goals, dude. Like if you want to go after more entitlements and bigger deals, like, yeah, you'll quickly find out that's hard for overseas people to pull off. And also, like, the due diligence that I found, they just don't do it to the same level that US people will.
Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
But for standard flips, I mean, I always say that you can easily make $1 million a year with one great overseas acquisition manager. And so how do we define great? Well, we define great by they have the raw material, right? So they don't need to be technically trained, but they've got the right soft skills. They're personable. They have high integrity. They show up on time. They're honest in their communication. They're not afraid to have uncomfortable conversations. Like, okay, that's the soft skills that we need. I can train them on everything land. We look for that initially. Then I'm looking for people that have high ambition. So they have big goals, and this role can get them to their goals when create an incentive that lines it up. And then from there, their performance falls on your shoulders. So are we doing daily or weekly sales team huddles? Are you doing role playing with them? Do you monitor their KPIs, listen to their calls? It takes a lot of hand holding to get a high performance acquisition team. I've honestly been thinking about building a program just on building high performance acquisition teams. I see so many folks that just drop the ball there.
Awesome.
Dude, and it moves the needle, man. All things being equal, we can add no additional cost to our business, but make more money by just having higher performance teams. There's just a lot of meat on the bone. So does that make sense?
Yeah, totally, man. Yeah. I totally agree on everything
My
that you said.
recommendation to you, once you bring your acquisition manager in, I would probably do 2 meetings a week.
Mm-hmm.
So I do a general just huddle, reviewing their pipeline, reviewing what they're working on. And then if you're ambitious, I would do 1 call a week. It could be as short as 30 minutes where you do role playing. So you're going to do objection handling and you're going to do live role playing. A
Nice.
game changer. And so 2 calls a week with them. As your team grows, you'll probably make those daily calls. But in the beginning, just 2 calls a week is a good place to start.
Yeah. Have you read the book Traction?
Yeah, it's a great book, man.
Yeah.
That's the holy grail of building businesses. Frankly, I should
Awesome.
probably read it again, but it's such a good
Yeah,
book.
me too. I actually listened to the audiobook, and you don't have many references, table graphs, and so I bought it. I need to read it now.
It's a visual book for sure, man. It's one of those books though. You should read it every year. I think I've got it on my shelf back there. I probably read it again. That I also just got. I think it's Buy Back Your Time. Have you heard of that book?
Yes, I heard about it, but I didn't read it.
So it's interesting. So my girlfriend went to a mastermind in Canada, and she met him. She met the author, and they were flying back, and they were on the same flight together after the event. And we got home from San Diego on Saturday, and we had a handwritten note from him. He had mailed us a copy of the book with a handwritten note. So I'm gonna read it here in a couple of days.
Awesome.
Great book though on creating effective delegation. Any more questions on hiring or anything in general?
No, only one, but it's very fast. If you had to choose one between texting and mailing, what would it be?
Oh, this
is tough, right?
The $1 million question. Yeah, dude, I'm going mail every time, 100%, without a shadow of a doubt, for so many reasons. There's just like a laundry list of reasons. I think the thing that I like about mail is it doesn't require a team to run it. So, dude, you can have one acquisition manager and a VA and make $1 million a year just with mail, right? If you're going to have texting, you need a whole team that goes along with it. It creates more complexity. The other thing, though, that I love about mail is there's way more trust in mail. So when a seller gets a letter, there's more trust involved in that. Mail is already the highest form of trust-based marketing. Where I get these random cold texts or cold calls, I'm always very skeptical. It's just ingrained in us to be skeptical.
Yeah.
It's just less professional, I think, right?
Yeah.
And so the kinds of leads that you talk to through text are typically very standoffish. They don't know who you are. They're very weary of offers. They're very weary of doing business with you. So yeah, mail all day long. And as a solo operator, I don't care if you've got 20 hours a week to put in this business, you can still send 10,000 mailers. Yeah. You do it at nights, weekends, whenever you can. With texting, you got to be on it. Like you can't miss those texts, right?
Yeah.
So we're doing 75,000 texts a month, and we've seen texting really change, obviously, in the last few months. It's becoming less and less effective. So there could be an argument to put all that budget towards mail. We'll see. We'll get to
I stopped. I was texting with LIA reply, not launch control. But the reasons that you said were what brought me to just focus on one channel. But for me, is mailing. Plus, as you were mentioning before, I think that demography also of our avatar is that not everyone has a lot of familiarity, even if they have a mobile phone. And not a lot of them are, like they had it, like my mom had it, but she didn't know how to use it. She was old, and she didn't know how to really use the phone. And there is also another thing that, as I was mentioning, is less mailer is less invasive. You need to read it. You can read it. You cannot read it. You can open the envelope. You can decide not to. While the texting is something that arrives on you. And there is another thing that was on a podcast with Justin Zinsliva, and they said something that I think is totally true. And actually, I closed the deal the last week from that same was the second campaign that I sent in 2021. Because the guys keep the letter in the drawer, and when they're ready to sell, they take the letter out and say, I called this guy now. The text is something that is fire and forget.
So true, man. So true.
There are so many reasons.
Those letters, they're little seeds that you plant, and you don't know when they're going to come to harvest. But every quarter, we get deals that are 2 or 3 years old from old campaigns. It's totally true. The other thing that I'm sure you've experienced, how many times do you send a contract to a seller that's older and they don't know how to open it, they don't know how to sign it, they don't know how to engage with it? like we we're talking about before, like most of them are not very technical, like they're not into
Yeah.
technology, they're old, right? So yeah, I think mail all day long. And that's not even to touch on the risk factor, right? There's way more risk with text than there is with mail. So yeah, I'm a mail guy all day long.
Okay.
I think, especially if you're a new land investor, just focus on mail. My biggest recommendation, if you're trying to scale this business, just get really good at one corner of the business, one marketing channel, one deal type, one market type. Like just get really good at it, and then you can slowly stack on top of it, right? So yeah, man, I'm a big believer. Just scale your mail. My recommendation, though, just based off looking at these stats, I think you've got everything it takes to bump those mail numbers. Now we don't have to do it tomorrow. Let's wait till we get to April or May to see the feedback that you're getting from your mailers, and if it's positive, add more gas to that fire. Once you have the acquisition team, dude, they can handle 100+ leads a month, maybe even 150 leads a month. So you've got a lot of tolerance there for how much they can manage.
We do.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Hey, anyone in the chat, if you guys have questions, feel free to put them in the chat before we call it good here. If there's anything I can help with, or you just want to cheer Arturo on, lots of positive stuff in the chat. Everyone seems to like you. I think it's aspirational to see someone running this business part-time and running it from a different country. Now, we have a guy inside LIA who's 19 years old, lives in Poland, and is killing it, right?
He's awesome.
He's awesome. He's awesome. Dude, I mean, he was doing like 30, 40K months when he was 18 years old. It's just crazy, man. We have someone here from Ireland who's running the business remotely. So if you feel like, oh, Sumner, I have a W-2 or I have kids or I don't have time, honestly, fuck your excuses. Like you can, I don't care about them. They don't matter. So, yeah, man. All right, Arturo, anything to cap it off on?
No, it's again, thank you very much for everything that you do, man. I was hoping to be able to come in October to the event in Las Vegas. And probably I will have some land investors coming in Italy. So, you know, it's depending on the dates, I might be able or not, because so I have some.
Well, so I'll throw something on for you. So yeah, the dates are 27th, 28th, 29th of October for anyone that's curious. We released the early bird tickets, but
27?
Yeah, 27th to the 29th. But here's one thing I'll tack on. So in September, I'm doing a backpacking trip through Europe for 3 weeks. So I'm going to
no way, man. I'm there.
Yeah, so I'm going to France, I'm going to Italy, and I'm going to Croatia. So I'll be in your neck of the woods. We'll definitely have to.
Are you really? Come on, man. So I will see you in September for sure.
September for sure, man. Yeah, you'll have to show me around Italy.
Yeah, of course. I mean, anytime. Tell me where you are, and I will come and see you.
Yeah. We'll have to link up. It's one of my favorite things to do is meet up with other LIA members when I travel.
Yeah,
so
sure.
I would love to get you at the event if it makes sense. Anyways, Arturo, man, it's always a treat to talk to you, and I appreciate you making the time. I know you got to get back to work and start working on the land business. So we'll call it good here. All right, guys, everyone that's watching, thank you. If you like this video, you like Arturo, give it a thumbs up for him coming all the way from Italy. And we'll see you guys here in the next video. Bye,
Thank you. Thank you, Sumner. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, Arturo. Bye.
Yeah.